If you have low testosterone or it's at a normal level but you like it to be higher, in this video I'm going to share with you the 3 steps to naturally raising your testosterone as high as it can possibly be. But before we go into it, if you haven't already, please click the subscribe button below. You're going to learn how to build a strong, healthy, high-performing 7-figure body that goes along with your business success. What's up, everybody? This is Coach Amir from 7figurebody.com, and in this video, one of the most popular topics, anytime I write about this on Facebook or anywhere else, it kind of blows up because everybody's interested in having higher testosterone. Of course, if you don't already know that, testosterone is the main, we can say the most important men's hormone, because it literally builds more muscle, burns more fat, gives you masculinity, and just generally gives us everything that we want, or a lot of the things that we want from our physique, from the level of energy we have, attractiveness. All of this gets better the higher your testosterone is. So we're going to talk about exactly how to raise it to as high level as possible naturally. Obviously, in some other video, I'm going to talk about TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, why I do not suggest it unless it's absolutely necessary. And sometimes it is necessary, but in very, very rare occasions do I think somebody should be on it. So I really believe in the body's ability to optimally perform and be at a really high level, both performance, energy, looks, and health-wise, completely naturally. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to do that naturally, 100%. So the first thing is, why does a man get low testosterone to begin with? So again, we're talking about not diseases or some kind of genetic disorders that can certainly cause someone to have low testosterone, but if that was the case, you would have low testosterone your whole life. On the other hand, let's say in your 18 years old and you were 20 or something, you had really high testosterone. Now you may be a bit older, 35, 30, whatever, maybe 40 or over, and your testosterone is low. How do you know? Well, generally speaking, your sex drive is down, your aggressiveness is down, you kind of feel lethargic and low energy and feel like you got basically run over by a truck. That's how you all the time. That is all of these things are very, very likely symptoms or causes, or symptoms rather, that you have or could have low testosterone. Now, of course, please remember, none of this is relevant before you actually take a real test. Like, go to your doctor and have a test and see where it is. So just for reference, roughly speaking, 15 years ago when I was in pharmacy school, roughly speaking, lower level was 300, higher level was about 900, 950. That's from 3 to 900 generally for most men is where the lowest to highest testosterone levels are. Now, most men are genetically do not fall into the, probably top is like 5% of genetic outliers in the, gifted ones. So you probably have like 800 plus, or you have 5 to 10% of people who are genetically screwed who naturally have it lower, kind of 400 or below. Most of us will fall right in the middle there. So an average man with average normal genetics is going to have about 5 to 600 normal testosterone level. So now when you look at it and you're like, okay, we know that vast majority of men, like millions and millions of men, have low testosterone even in their 30s. Why is that? The number one reason for that, and also the number one reason for most men to have low testosterone, is being overweight, meaning too high fat percentage. Why? Simply because the fatter we get, so the more body fat we have, the more an enzyme called aromatase converts our testosterone into women's hormone estrogen. So basically, these two hormones, estrogen and testosterone, they work in opposing functions, meaning the higher your testosterone is, the opposite estrogen will be, and all the things that raise your estrogen is going to lower your testosterone. Okay, so that's why most literally speaking, direct correlation, the fatter we get, the lower our testosterone. So more body fat we have, the lower our testosterone will get. Now, of course, the good news here is the number one activity you can do, like right now, of course, this is a bit longer term, meaning a couple of months, is lose body fat, get leaner. So your body fat is here, let's say. As you get leaner, your testosterone will start going up. Over hundreds and hundreds of clients that I've worked with in the last 14 years, male clients, I've noticed 2 specific thresholds. I don't know why they are, but generally speaking, I've seen a pattern. This is not scientifically based. This is just pure experience from hundreds and hundreds of male clients that I've had, male entrepreneurs. And those are, if a man is about 25+% body fat, and I'm going to put a picture here so you can see how generally how that looks. So if you're at this fat percentage or higher, your testosterone is very likely to be low. And if you are at that level, the moment you go below 20% body fat, I can put a picture here showing how that looks, you're going to have a huge jump in testosterone. So anything above 20%, when you cross below 20%, so 19, 20, you're going to have a huge jump in testosterone. How are you going to know? You literally have more energy. You have, sex drive goes up. You have more kind of life drive, if you will, to do things, to take risks, to be more positively aggressive. I'm not saying go people, beat people up. I'm saying just generally being more prone to like doing hard work and taking risks and being a bit more aggressive in life. In a positive way, not like, you have a steroid-filled moron in the gym that's like yelling and like, ugh. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about positive aggression in the way that it's just like you're much more likely to take risks and do, things that are hard or uncomfortable in order to achieve the results that we want. Okay, so that's the first threshold, below 20%. The second threshold is when you go below about 14%. This is when you get really, really lean. So for most men, let me just set this stage here. So generally speaking, the recommended body fat percentage that's going to give you optimal testosterone, the highest possible level you can have, the best thing you can do is get to about anywhere from like 10 to 15% body fat. And if we kind of narrow that down, I would say like if there was one fat percentage that I would say across all men, and of course, guys, please realize this is going to be different for each man based on, many things, usually genetically predetermined. So about 12% body fat is where you generally start having, six-pack abs be visible. That's ideally the kind of the best middle in between the extremes of being too low. When you're completely shredded as a natural in a single digit body fat percent, your testosterone goes down as well. So it's not good to be too lean because your body's thinking that you're going to starve and kill yourself. So there's no need for testosterone. On the other hand, being overweight, as we said, is the number one reason that men have a low T. So the ideal range in between both extremes is about 13%. That's what I would suggest for most male entrepreneurs to get to, because you're going to feel awesome. All of your health factors and indicators are going to be in the ideal range. Blood pressure, cholesterol, all of these things that are health related are going to be in an optimal range when you're about 12% body fat, 12, 13 or so. Again, the range is 10 to 15. Some people may feel great at 10. Some people may feel like terrible at 10 because they're too lean. They might need to go, 14, 15%. But again, this is a, couple of pounds, anywhere from like 5 to 10 pounds difference. It's not that large, right? That range. But you should, play with how do you feel about, how do you feel at 11% versus how do you feel, look, and perform at 14%, and just figure out, lifestyle-wise, what fits you best, okay? So that's the number one thing you can do is lose weight, like lose body fat and get your body fat percentage closer to that 12-ish% range, okay? That's the number one. Number two thing that you can do, and that's kind of longer term, meaning it's gonna take a couple of months, but there are two things that you can do right now that are kind of more or less instant, like within a couple of days, you can make this change and see the changes in your testosterone pretty rapidly in probably next few weeks. Here's the first one, is fixing your mineral and vitamin deficiencies. There are a bunch of mineral and vitamins that are directly involved in testosterone production: magnesium, zinc, vitamin D, vitamin E, like all these things are absolutely going to affect how much testosterone you produce. But please remember, this is only in the case when you're actually deficient in D. So let's say magnesium, okay? You're deficient in magnesium, which almost everybody is. You're deficient in vitamin D, which almost everybody is. Let's say this is the normal level. You are here now deficient. You start taking a supplement of some sort. It goes up to that normal level. Adding more magnesium, zinc, whatever other supplement or mineral or vitamin on top of the normal range is not going to give you more. Right? So the moment you get to that, optimal level where you're supposed to be, beyond that, you're not going to get any increase. But remember, most of us kind of are starting out at the deficient level. That's why, again, do not just blindly supplement. Please go take a test. When you take a blood test, it's going to show you exactly what you're deficient in. This is one of the things that I do with my clients, and then we supplement based on what exactly you need. And that's going to give you the kind of more or less fast increase in testosterone. Number three is also more or less instant and kind of shorter term, which is sleep. Of course, we know that if you are sleeping good, that's going to positively affect your health and pretty much everything else. Testosterone is no exception, meaning several studies have shown that if you go from 8 hours to 5 hours of sleep, your testosterone is going to go down. If you go from, some other studies have shown from 8 hours to 4 hours, it goes down even more. So one thing you can do is get 7 to 8 hours of high quality sleep. Another tip that I can give you there is testosterone is generally produced between midnight and like 6 p.m. So it's a very good idea to be sleeping at that time. So at midnight, you're already asleep and you wake up after 6 a.m. That's what I would suggest. I can't tell you how many clients I've had, probably dozens so far, that we've changed actually nothing other than just the time when they go to sleep. So let's say somebody goes to bed at 2 a.m. and sleeps until 10. So they have 8 hours of sleep. So they have enough sleep, quantity wise. But if we just change that from them going to sleep at 11:30 and waking up at 7:30, they're sleeping the same exact length, but the time when they go to bed is a bit better, so they still have a little bit testosterone increase. So that's a little tip. Doesn't always have to be true. Again, not scientifically based. This is just pure observation from actual real world. And I've seen it enough times that I can kind of formulate a pattern there. So that's what I would suggest. Don't expect miracles from that. But I do suggest that if you go to bed at ideally 11 o'clock or earlier, it's better even if you sleep the same amount of time compared to going to bed at 3 a.m. and waking up at 11 a.m. at 7. Okay. Now, these are the 3 things you can do to lose weight. To lose weight, to increase your testosterone. Okay. Now, let's talk about all of the things that you've heard about a million times. Number 1, natural testo boosters, ashwagandha, all kinds of like horny goat weed, like whatever things. All of these things have really, really no scientific evidence to prove any effectiveness whatsoever. So it's basically just marketing, selling BS to gullible masses. Avoid that, okay? Now, the other thing you can do that I highly suggest is increasing a little bit of your healthy fats, amount of healthy fats that you consume per day. And within that, there is some studies, and I've actually tested this a lot. Again, just observation, not scientific studies that I can run because, I don't have a lab. I just work with a bunch of clients and, we test all kinds of things out. And one thing that I've tested is when you have total calories and protein stay the same, but the ratio of fats and carbs we can change. We know that that does not affect your weight loss results. They're going to be identical. So what we do is we change their fat intake to be a bit higher, the carbs to be a bit lower. I have noticed that people generally feel better, lose, kind of feel that they have, like a little bit more of a more energy and lose that kind of lethargic, I don't have energy feeling. And I would probably say that it increases their testosterone as well. There's some studies also that prove or show that with a bit higher fat intake compared to lower fat intake, there are positive effects on testosterone production. And one other thing is, the last thing that I want to mention is these temporary, very short-term increases in testosterone. You've probably heard when you do heavy compounds, training-wise in the gym, you're lifting weights. When you do heavy compounds, your testosterone goes up. Yes, it does. That is true. But these temporary, very temporary, acute increases in hormones, especially testosterone, absolutely do not do anything. You don't build muscle. You don't burn more fat. You don't lose more weight. They don't really do anything. It's just a normal body's reaction to whatever you're doing. Remember, if you watch a, let's say, fight, like you're watching a UFC fight, and you're all like, your testosterone goes up. If a man talks to an attractive woman, his testosterone can go up 30%. If you are about to get in a fight, if you watch a movie that's kind of like war and like, guns and all this, your testosterone goes up. So remember, guys, all of these, and also, fasting zealots are like, when you fast, your growth hormone goes up. Sure it does, but it also comes down right back, and it absolutely does not do anything for you. You don't build more muscle. You don't get any benefits from it. These transient, ups and downs in testosterone levels are absolutely irrelevant. They don't matter at all. What matters is your testosterone generally going from whatever, lower level to a higher level permanently. This is what creates a huge change. So one thing that we know that, for example, if somebody has low testosterone, let's say 300 or below, you feel terrible, like life is awful. By the way, I know because every time I would get in a, photo shoot shape, like basically single-digit body fat percent, my testosterone would go down. I would feel awful, like you have no energy, you're constantly tired, you're exhausted. So as a natural lifter, somebody who does not take steroids or testosterone, exogenous testosterone, it is a misery of life to be in a single-digit body fat percent for a long time. And that's why all of these, YouTube and Instagram influencers, fitness influencers, they're all on steroids, of course, every single one, because just being that lean as a natural is a misery of life. Like, you absolutely have, not to say that, you're feeling awful, you look good, like, the world will say you look good, but you're absolutely feeling awful. You have no sex drive, you can't even have sex, like literally nothing works, like nothing works when your testosterone is that low. So it's an absolute misery of life. So the only way to really be that shredded in the single digit body fat percent is for, like, let's say for 5 years or 10 years, is to be on either TRT or, like actual steroids, like, clenbuterol, like all these other things that are actually illegal. Testosterone replacement therapy is legal when prescribed by a doctor, and it is it's basically a pharmaceutical aid that is supposed to fix an actual health problem, because, like medical issue, if you will. So if a man has low testosterone, let's say an overweight guy has low testosterone, he goes to the doctor doesn't want to say, hey, you need to take a couple of months, go on a diet, start eating better, being more active and lifting weights and building some muscle. That will absolutely skyrocket your testosterone, being a normal range, probably the higher of the normal range. However, the doctor doesn't say that. The doctor says, awesome, I'm going to put this guy on TRT. That costs a lot of money. And generally speaking, once you go on TRT, you're going to be on it for the rest of your life, because the moment you don't, when you stop, it's just going to go back down again if you haven't fixed all these other things that I first mentioned. So the doctor, an overweight guy with a low T, comes in, the doctor looks at him and says, $1 million just came up. Just walked into, because over time, imagine if you're on it for the rest of your life for decades, how much you're going to pay for that, right? Isn't it better to just take a couple of months, naturally do this by losing weight, getting in shape, being active and staying in that shape, and having high testosterone forever? One last thing that I'm going to mention is the longevity. So what about when we get older? So you probably heard, so many times people saying, well, after 35 years of age, your testosterone is declining every year, and every decade it drops 10 to 20% down. So basically what they're saying is, by the time you're 60 or 70, you're guaranteed to have low testosterone, you're going to be fat and all of this. This is absolutely not true. Here's why. If you think about the intricate and direct correlation between the amount of muscle you have and high testosterone, meaning having high testosterone allows you to build more muscle. Also, having more muscle keeps the testosterone at a higher level. That's number one. Number two, staying at 12-ish% body fat, 13, 14, whatever, but under 15% body fat your whole life, keeping the amount of muscle you have your whole life by working out, obviously, staying within your calories for staying lean within that fat percentage. And three, having the diet that is actually proper diet, that is not made of junk foods all the time, but you're actually eating healthy, good foods with more fat and more saturated fat in there. And then four, of course, is the sleep, right? If you continue doing these things over the next, 50, 60, however many years, you will absolutely keep your testosterone pretty damn high. There's some studies that showed that people who do this, who are in really good shape when they're 75 years old, they can still have a really good high level of testosterone. And no, I'm not saying that when you're 20 years old, if you had 800, you're going to have, 800 when you're 75 years old. But you can still have it be above the average level, above the 600 or so, which is amazing. So, of course, why does this not happen? Why do most studies show that if you take random 75-year-olds and take 100 of them, they're all going to have probably low testosterone? Why? Because is an average 75-year-old at, 12% body fat? No. Is an average 75-year-old in the gym, working out at least twice a week? No. Is an average 75-year-old having good diet? No. Is he sleeping well? Who knows, right? So these are the things that you can absolutely do, meaning they're under your control. If you do them, you will be able to be extremely healthy, high energy, good looking, and have high testosterone at, even in maybe late 70s or even longer. Okay. And then one last thing that I'm going to mention is, please remember, there are two hormones, testosterone and cortisol, which is the stress hormone, that also work in directly opposing ways. So if you are stressed out, that is going to lower your testosterone. So try to, meditate, basically de-stress yourself in any way you can. That's number one. And number two, the thing that's going to lower your testosterone is caloric restriction that is too big. So if you're being on a diet, okay, and you're cutting your calories too much, you're also going to decrease your testosterone as well. Now, of course, this will reverse later on, but I do not suggest having big calorie deficits, and this is why I'm not a fan of losing body fat or generally dieting, with too extreme levels or losing body fat too quickly. If anything, because the effect on your testosterone is going to be very, very negative on a downward trend. So guys, hope you found this useful. If you did, please click the like and subscribe button below. Also, if you check out the video description below, there's a link for you to check out. If you just put your email so I know where to send it, I'm going to send you a free video, A to Z process on how I transformed 1,200 entrepreneurs so far, and how you can do that to start losing weight for yourself from the get-go. Also, another thing I'm going to throw in is a free copy of digital version of this book. You can see this book is $25 on Amazon. I'll send you a completely free copy, digital version. If you click that link, put your email, name, and phone number, we're going to send you the training video and this book for free as well. So guys, thank you for watching. Hope you learned a lot in this video and loved the video. And if you did, click that like button, and I will see you next time.